Yesterday, we talked about how in the 23 trillion disability market and aging markets, rarely is the user the buyer and why that's important. So I'll include that video from yesterday in the comments. I had some people asking after the video from yesterday, can you please give an example of from the user side of how to make your product's impact measurable in, let's say, hours. I'm going to give the example of time. So, and that's important because in the 23 trillion disability market, impact doesn't move through organizations as stories always. It moves as time saved, cost reduced, operational relief. So I'm going to give you the example of time today as it relates to the user and how you could potentially translate that over to the buyer. So let me open these markers. I got this board and it's neat. We'll try it out together because it's a whiteboard on one side and I'll show you the other side. On the other side, it's paper. So I do like it because I do a lot of things on the go, and this is a perfect size. So we'll try it with the example that I'm going to give. So if you're just joining, we're talking about how to make your products impact measurable in hours saved, not opinions, in the 23 trillion disability market. All right, so I'm going to give the example of time to complete a task. So we're talking from the user side right now. We're not talking from the buyer. So a user may be interested in the outcome of time saved. So how much time are they going to save by, let's say, using your app? So if they use your app, are they going to save time? All right. So this is from the user. All right. So the outcome, when we're talking about the user, make sure you can see this. All right. Could be time spent. So one outcome, we're just focusing on one outcome, not five, one. All right. There may be many other outcomes that your product or service does, but we are focusing on one. All right. So the one outcome could be time saved. All right. So how long does it take to finish something using whatever product or service that you provide? So that's one. Now, from that, how much does it improve? So you need to take it a step further. So if, let's say, they're using your app, how much does this improve? So we're talking specifically time. All right. So let's say it saves 5 hours. We'll give the example of 5 hours. So this is just an estimate. So before, maybe they weren't able to save that much time. Now they use your app, let's say, and they're saving 5 hours. All right. And then we would go to the next one. Now you need to quantify the impact. So how are you going to quantify the impact when you have, let's say, 5 hours? So now we're looking at how much time does the user save each week? All right. So that could be an option. So how much time they save each week. And then how often does this happen weekly? So you need to be thinking about maybe tasks per week. So like this is going like deeper into maybe their day. So each week, how much time? Maybe the task per week. And then you're looking at the error reduction. So based off of all of this, what's the estimated percentage of errors that are avoided? Okay, so then error reduction. So that's another percentage. All right, so let's just say time saved. Let's say 5 hours. We'll give the example 5 hours for how much time the user saves each week. Okay, so maybe they're saving 5 hours each week. How often does this happen weekly? Let's say this happens 2 times per week. And then the error reduction, we'll just say 15%. Okay, so 5 hours per week are saved and they have 15% fewer errors. And that's based off of whatever your product or service. Okay, so now we have something like a statement that we can, oh, you guys can't see this here. You see that? Okay, so that's pretty much like what we mapped out. Now we need a statement that sums up all of that from the user perspective. So let's say, I may say for the user, this improves time to complete task by 5 hours per week. And then I would say, okay, so what does that do? Then it's actually now saving 5 hours per week and reducing errors by approximately 15%. Okay, and then in turn, what would be the outcome for the user? Well, that sounds like that would make the experience faster and smoother, let's say. Okay, so there's a big difference between me saying this makes the experience faster or smoother by using our whatever app it is, maybe, or service. Now I'm saying this improves time to complete tasks by 5 hours per week, saving 5 hours per week and reducing errors by approximately 15%, making the experience faster and smoother. And then you could translate, you could take the same statement, let's say from the buyer perspective, you may not be using this particular statement, you may something connect it to the dollar amount. So this reduces time to complete tasks by 5 hours per week. And then you would may say something along the lines of resulting in approximately how much money, I'm just going to use money for the buyer's statement. So maybe resulting in approximately $225 per month impact. All right. So that is an example of from what I just said from the buyer. And this is an example for the user. You wouldn't necessarily use the same statement for the user that you would for the buyer. So that is a specific example. If you have questions, if you want me to do another example, specific maybe to your industry, I can drop a comment. I would love to hear some of the different things that you all are providing for your user statements. And I will, if you want to go like a little bit deeper, we are having our upcoming session, Convert in the 23 trillion disability market, on April 13th. And I will include all of that in the comments.